name is Paul Lachapelle. I'm an associate professor at Montana State University and an extension community development specialist. And I'd like to share some experiences from a recent trip to Nicaragua back in September of 2012. Nicaragua, for folks that don't know, is in Central America, just south of Honduras and El Salvador, and just north of Costa Rica. The study trip was organized through Cornell University, and we went to 3 sites, landed in the capital of Managua, and then traveled to the northeast hill area near Montagulpa. We went to the university that I'll talk about in a minute, near Leon on the coast, and then the city of Granada. As I mentioned, we went with faculty from Cornell University, including the extension director, and the faculty were very diverse faculty, from administrators to county educators to regional directors. So we had a real mix of individuals, and the goals were outlined on a blog site, and it was really effective for us to create this blog site so that we could, first of all, become organized as a group before we went down, and also to share the thoughts that we had before the trip with our colleagues who we were going to be meeting at the university in Nicaragua. We had 3 main goals, and the first one primarily was to engage with colleagues, faculty, and students with the National Autonomous University of Nicaragua. That is the largest state-sponsored university in Nicaragua. And the overall goal was to develop collaborative opportunities with their faculty and students. We also visited various cooperatives, and we explored a number of small-scale development opportunities. So the question that we all had, and a lot of colleagues that asked me, is why did you pick Nicaragua? The first response that I would tell my colleagues is that we had active connections to a lot of nonprofits working in Nicaragua, and again, these were through Cornell University. We also had an active connection to the National University of Nicaragua, specific faculty that are doing similar outreach and extension work at the university. And then third, and perhaps most importantly, unlike a lot of countries around the world, from the United States, it's relatively easy to access many of the major cities in Central America, and relatively low cost of travel. And for example, it was cheaper for me to go to Nicaragua than it was for me to come here to this location in Alabama. During the off season, it's less than $400 round trip to go to Nicaragua. As is the case with many of our extension programming, building relationships is a primary objective and outcome of many of our programs. And one of the first things that we did in Nicaragua was meet with and stay with a family for almost a week. And it was about four and a half days that we were in a community. So we had a chance to meet with them before we moved into their houses, and then we lived with the family, got to know the grandparents, the children, of course the parents, and it was just a very rich opportunity to learn the language and learn about the culture. As I mentioned, we visited a lot of cooperatives in the country, and there are a number of coffee cooperatives. And we learned about how these farmers have organized collectively to better prepare their products and better sell their products. So we learned all about the details of growing the coffee beans, how to market them, not just in Nicaragua and Central America, but around the world, and what the university involvement is in setting up those cooperatives. We also met with organizers of the cooperatives and learned about the details of just how that system functions on a community level, on a regional level, and of course across the country. We had a chance to witness some of the activities of the cooperative, and they're engaged in not just labor organizing, but also in education. And we had the opportunity to view a role-playing exercise where individuals were talking about the relationship between men and women and counteracting domestic violence that's very common in parts of rural Nicaragua. So the cooperatives are not just engaged, again, in labor and commodity issues, but also in an active education about all kinds of social issues as well. We had a chance to meet with women involved in paper making, and in particular, women involved with manufacturing paper for sale domestically and internationally, using scraps from banana plantations. So I didn't know that paper could actually be made from banana scraps, the leaves and stalks, but it's a beautiful, high-quality product. We also met with women's cooperatives involved in weaving and sewing, and had a chance to talk with them again about their collective work and the role of the university, not just in Nicaragua, but other universities around the world, and how they've played a role in helping these women form these cooperatives. We also talked with women involved in the jewelry industry, again for the same objective of learning about how they're interacting, learning from their university entrepreneurship skills, marketing skills to get their products to market. We also had the opportunity to look at a lot of murals and artwork. There's a rich culture there of displaying messages, social and political messages in public areas, and it really does help to explain the educational outreach that many social groups have, that many cooperatives have, and it involves the youth in the activity of painting the murals and explaining the murals to people. We had a chance to visit a lot of museums, and all of us had the opportunity to learn about the long history from colonialization many centuries ago to more recent historical issues involving the Sandinista and Contra war, and U.S. involvement and the proxy war that took place there in the 1980s and 90s. And again, one of the main objectives was to meet with faculty and students, and we had multiple meetings with faculty from the agronomy departments, from the sociology and women's studies departments, and had many opportunities for interacting with the faculty and the students to talk about their specific outreach efforts that are very similar to Extension's outreach work. Some of the faculty are involved in sustainable farming and demonstration farms. They actively bring their students out to these farms, and again, we had the chance to meet with the students and the faculty and actually tour the farms. Faculty at the university are also involved with a botanical garden. Again, this is an educational effort that the university is involved in for tourists and also for students to learn about the native and exotic flora in the country. And we had the opportunity to view the diagnostic labs at the university, insect and plant diagnostics, and see the lab technicians and view their publications. So the value added, or the application in terms of my own extension programming, first of all, it allowed a first-hand experience of how this kind of rural outreach and extension agencies in a foreign country or foreign culture are addressing very similar issues that I'm addressing in myself, my colleagues are addressing in my home institution, whether it's veterinary sciences or plant pathology, entomology issues, community development, entrepreneurism. Secondly, it allowed us to develop a multidiscipline extension educator network, not just with colleagues at another institution, Cornell, but also internationally with this university in Nicaragua. Third, it allowed for an opportunity for information sharing between U.S. and Nicaraguan colleagues, not just at a university level, but across a host of nonprofit and other organizations. Fourth, it allowed me the opportunity to have personal self-reflection, personal and professional self-reflection. My role as an extension professional, as a global citizen, as a global educator, and it really allowed me to kind of renew enthusiasm to develop new and innovative extension programs. Fifth, we engaged in pre- and post-trip training, specifically in language training and cultural training. And many of the conversations we had pre-trip dealt with diversity and team building. And then last, and perhaps most importantly, the experience allowed us to really, I think, enhance Cooperative Extension's ability to make informed decisions on a global scale that I think will cut across all of the program areas: youth, family and consumer sciences, natural resources and ag, and community development. So this has been an extremely valuable experience for me, and I'm looking forward to continued interaction with Cornell faculty and faculty in Nicaragua.